In this video, I will show you how to decide whether a relationship is a function, and we'll mark that in just this single column. We're not going to do any of the other categories in this video. And so for looking at this picture over here, for this graph that is a V shape that opens up to the right, how you're going to decide if this picture is a function is by what is called the vertical line test. Now, the vertical line test says that if you were to draw a vertical line somewhere through your function, if it was to cross more than once, then this is not a function. So I'm going to put no in this box because this vertical line test shows that it can cross your function more than one time. Now, likely with this linear graph, if I were to draw a vertical line through my picture, would the vertical line cross through only one time? And if your answer is yes, then like this picture here, this line, a vertical line would only cross one time, so you would have a function. And then with this picture here, there's a set of points, and they go kind of in a curvy upward direction towards the right. Now again, if I were to put a vertical line through one of those points, it's only going to cross one time, so yes, this would be a function. And what you're really tracking is, would an x value repeat? And what I mean by that is, if I were to track this point and this point, these 2 points would have the exact same x value, and if x values repeat, we say no, it's not a function. So now on the next page of the notebook, where we have a few more examples, just to talk about whether or not you have a function, visually on a graph, I would just place a vertical line through it, and if it only crosses your graph one time, then we will say yes, it is a function. For a table of values, all you would do is look at the x column, ignoring the y column, because that's not how you decide if it's a function, strictly the x's. Look at your x values, and if no x values repeat, then yes, this is a function. Now in the next example, it has kind of a scenario here, so let's read what it says. You are going to the store to buy pencils for school. Your cost, C, is related to the number of pencils, P, that you will buy at 50 cents per pencil. So function-wise, my cost is equal to 50 cents per pencil. Now, if you were to graph this, you would see that 1 pencil, 2 pencils, 3 pencils, none of your pencils amounts would repeat. And so, yes, this would also be a function. And then for an equation here, kind of like how we did an equation here, the type of equation is very helpful to know to decide whether or not you have a function. Now this function, even though it's not in the format y equals mx plus b, you could put this function in that format. And you could write it as y equals 0.5x and then plus nothing. And this would be a linear function because your x value has the power of 1. So this would be a straight line going up at a half rate. Now this line would also be a straight line that would start at -6 on the y-axis and it would go up 9 over 1. So this is also going to be a line, a linear equation makes a line, and if you were to draw a vertical line test through that, it would pass only one time. And so for this function, my answer will still be yes, that it is a function because a vertical line would cross that one time only. Now I have 2 different questions about creating a table of values that would not represent a function and then a table of values that would represent a function. And this really helps me to know how creative you can be and still follow the directions for a function. So in order to have a function, your x values cannot repeat. Versus not a function, your x values must repeat. They have to repeat so that it's not a function. So if we're going to make a table, let's get a table for x and y. Let's make sure that our values repeat for x. So let's make some of them the same. And then for my y's, it doesn't really matter what happens with those, but I have to have x values repeating so that I would not have a function. And then opposite here, if we want to have a function, my x values cannot repeat. So I'm going to change my list over here for my table to make sure that my values do not repeat in the x column. Now, it doesn't matter what happens in the y column. These could all be repeating, and that doesn't matter because that's not how you identify a function. You only identify a function on the x values, whether they repeat or not. And repeating x values is not a function. Non-repeating x values would be a function.